A young man lives his life, continuously dying and reincarnating at a young age. However, this time, he hopes to change his destiny in a battle against the gods. The story unfolds with a man named Xiaowen thinking about his life, as he remembers how he had died in the other worlds he has lived in. He also thinks on how his parents had sent him out of the house after he became an adult. Soon he gets an order from his job, and as he rides his motorcycle down the road, he sees the way superheroes are saving people from danger. As he thinks about his last life, he is interrupted by the old man he is living with. The old man asks him how he is able to support himself with the little money he makes, and he tells the old man that he is able to manage the little money he is getting for himself. The old man commends him for being able to deliver the meals efficiently, and if he continues that way, he would be the first in the business. Immediately, Xiaowen leaves, and as he rides his motorcycle, he begins to think of how he has never lived past the age of 25 in all his past lives. He tells himself that he knows it is easy for him to become the number one in anything he does, but he dies easily and the cause of his death is always an unserious thing. He remembers how he choked on a melon seed and died in his last life, and he begins to plead that he wants to live until he is 80. Suddenly, he begins to hear a voice telling him to get out of the way, but before he could turn to check, a lady bumps into him, and they both fall down. The girl tells him that there are criminals inside her house and they are going to violate her. She then asks Xiaowen if he would help her. Xiaowen tells the girl that there are criminals looking for the police, and there are superpower criminals looking for the association. The girl begins to beg him and tells him that she is scared, and if he leaves her behind, they would kill her. He begins to calculate, and the girl begins to wonder what he is calculating, and he tells her that he is calculating the time of life and death. She asks him if he can read minds, but he tells her that he is just a delivery guy, and he has to hurry as he has deliveries to make. Suddenly, a level 4 criminal Lim Kuei comes out and tells the girl that she has nowhere to run to and she should just come and police him so that he would help her to pay her debts. Lim Kuei sees Xiaowen and laughs at the girl for calling a common delivery guy to help her. Xiaowen starts his motorcycle, and as he begins to go the girl pulls him by his shirt. So that he should not leave her alone, but he tells her that he cannot fight. Lim Kuei comes to Xiaowen and pulls him by the shirt. He raises him up and tells him that he is the head of the area, and no one can look down on him. Suddenly, Xiaowen flies out of his shirt, and he beats up Lim Kuei. They fight and Lim Kuei uses his powers against Xiaowen who dissolves it and defeats him. The girl becomes surprised as Xiaowen uses a move to defeat a level 4 criminal, and she also uses her phone to scan him as he leaves. The following day, the old man tells Xiaowen that the landlord has given till the end of the week to pay his rent. Xiaowen begins to lament on how hard life is for him, and he decided to put up 2 rooms out of his 3 rooms for rent. He uploads the rooms to a website and immediately he gets a reply from someone that wants the room, and he heads out to his work happily. Soon he gets back from work and decides to wait for the arrival of the lieutenant. Few minutes later, the girl he met the previous day, and he becomes shocked as she explains how her debts have been a problem for her, but he tells her that he is not renting out the room to her, and that he would call the police on her. She tells him that she is a head of a section in the association, and the association would not let him go as he has level 6 abilities, and he has not registered with them. She chooses the room she wants, and she begins to understand she has to feel comfortable in her new house. She then begs Xiaowen to rent the room to her, and after much pleas he listens to her, and collects the money from her. The girl tells Xiaowen that they should discuss adult matters, and she tells him that she knows about him being the first, and if he is not interested in hearing her he should not worry about it. He begins to wonder how she knows, and he asks her if she has been following him, but she tells him that it is her job to track down suspicious subjects. He also asks her why she is doing that, and she tells him that it is for the money. She also tells him that she doesn't know whether he is at level 6 or more than that. The girl tells Xiaowen that she has an offer that would make him stop making deliveries, and he would still be okay on his own. He asks her if she wants to use her position to open a back door for him, but she tells him the association would give him a non-staff personnel, and they would also give him bonuses, so they would share the bonuses into 2. They suddenly hear a knock on the door, and Xiaowen goes to open it, and he sees a girl who he thinks is cute. The girl introduces herself as Wang Yake, and she tells him that she wants to rent a room. He tells her to come in, and the girl begins to contemplate on which room to pick. Immediately the girl that rented a room at first comes out and introduces herself as Lin Mio Mio, and she tells Wang Yake that she must rent the room so that they can hang out later in the future. While they are talking, they suddenly hear a loud noise of a man crashing into their building, and as they watch they see a level 3 criminal who is challenged by a level 5 criminal. Lin Mio takes out her scanner, and she scans the man on the floor, and she notices that it is a level 5 ability and Wang Yake tells her that she is only level 3, and she does not know what to do. Lucas, the level 5 criminal, comes to Lin Mio and Wang Yake, and he begins to ask them if they are a member of the association, and he also asks them if they have heard of the Third Mouth Group. She then tells him that she has arrested a lot of members of the Third Mouth Group. Lin Mio then thinks of the situation as a good opportunity to test Xiaowen's powers, but she suddenly sees Xiaowen using tape to fix his broken wall, and she begins to yell at him asking him if he cannot see what is happening as they are being attacked by a level 5 criminal. She also tells him that he should fight with the criminal as that would give them the opportunity to do what they want to do, and Wang Yake also tells them that the situation is very bad. The two girls become scared as the criminal approaches them, and as he is about to punch them, he is stopped by Xiaowen who takes in the punch. Soon the criminal named Lucas begins to try to defeat Xiaowen, but Xiaowen uses his powers to knock him out with a slap. Xiaowen begins to lament that they have broken his furniture and spoiled his refrigerator, and they have to pay for it. Lin Mio tells herself that she has found a treasure and Wang Yake asks how Xiaowen is able to defeat Lucas, and she also asks who he is. Then suddenly the criminal that Lucas had knocked out then wakes up, and he tells them that he was conscious all along. Lin Mio says no one must know of Xiaowen's powers, and immediately Wang Yake uses her power to manipulate the criminal into thinking that he defeated Lucas. Wang Yake tells them that she has replaced the man's memories and Lin Mio begins to think of why Wang Yake has not also registered with the association, and she thinks that the way the three of them are living together would be better for them. Soon they hear a knock on the door, and as Xiaowen goes to the door he sees some people dressed in black, and they say that they are from the association cleaning section. Jin Shan, who is the secretary of the cleaning section, enters and commends Lin Mio for a job well done, and Lin comes dragging the level 3 criminal and tells Jin Shan that he was the one who defeated Lucas. Jin Shan asks if she is sure, and she tells her that it is true. Lin Mio also adds that Lu Kai is not alone, and Xiaowen assisted him. Jin Shan tells Lin Mio that the bonus would be credited into the ability account, and she also asks why Xiaowen is not registered yet, but Lin Mio tells her that she would help him register. Soon Jin Shan leaves and she apologizes to Xiaowen about his house, and gives him a card to call her if he needs anything, but Lin Mio collects the card, and tells Jin Shan that she would take care of everything. Lin Mio tells Xiaowen to see her in her room, and when he goes there she tells him of the steps he has to take, and how smart Jin Sha is not to believe that Lu Kai defeated Lucas. He tells her that she should remember her post, and if it gets out it would be bad for public morals. Lin Mio tells him that she only needs him to make money to settle her debts, but he tells her that he needs to think about it first, and he leaves the room. As he goes to his room he begins to think and tells himself that she is telling the truth, and he mistakenly steps on a spider. A man is attacked by a lady who uses spiders as her power, and she tells the man to mate with her, but he refuses. Then she uses the spiders and makes them eat the man's flesh. She then thinks of staying in the house to start her vacation mood. The following morning Lin Mio listens to a video warning them against strange and poisonous spiders in the city. The news says that the spiders make people die of heart paralysis, but Lin Mio finds the news strange as she asks Xiaowen what he thinks about it, and he tells her that it is just an alien species disaster. Xiaowen then asks her if she is going to work, and she tells him that the association gave her a date off after hearing what had happened the previous day. Xiaowen tells her that her unit is humane as it has a lot of benefit. Then Lin Mio asks Xiaowen if he has thought about joining the association as she moves closer to him, and presses her chest against his, and immediately he becomes surprised. Then suddenly Wang Yake yells for help as she runs out of her room with her underwear alone. She tells him that her room is full of spiders, and immediately Lin Mio runs and tells her that she would help her to stop them to death, but Wang Yake tells her to be careful as the spiders are very poisonous. Lin Mio calls out to Xiaowen, who is still standing where he is, that he should come and help her, and she also asks if he is not scared of spiders, but he immediately runs towards her and tells her to leave the weight as she asks him what he wants to do. He immediately uses his fire powers and blasts it in the room. Xiaowen tells the girls that those spiders are destined to be his enemies forever, and Lin Mio begins to wonder how he is able to master 3 abilities at a time, and he tells her that she should try to read his mind to get her answers. Xiaowen tells the girls that he has to make deliveries, and if they are not going out, they should help him in cleaning the house, but Lin Mio tells him that the city's service industry is closed because of the spider invasion happening in the city. Xiaowen becomes shocked as he hears this, and he looks at her phone as she explains further that the spiders are everywhere, but he says that he is not an immortal board, and it is either he dies or the spider dies. Faye, a level 4 member of the association, goes to meet the girl controlling the spider and tells her to drop her weapons, but the girl says that she would drop it, and she begins to release spiders from her body and tells Faye that her spider babies are her weapons. Faye shoots the gun with her, but she is surprised as the bullet goes through the girl without leaving a mark on her body. The girl then tells Faye that she should show her real skills or else she would be killed. Wang Yike shows Xiaowen her broken door, and he tells her he would fix it. He also tells Lin Mio, who is on the phone, and tells her to check her door, as well, so that he would fix it together. Lin Mio gets off the call and tells them that the association tells her to return temporarily, and she also tells Xiaowen that she would pay for the damages as she hurries out. Xiaowen tells Wang Yike that he hopes the issue is not about the spider disaster, as Lin Mio looks anxious as she leaves them. Suddenly, Xiaowen shouts to alert Wang Yike of a spider, and she immediately hugs him as he blushes. He then tells her that he has killed it, and Wang tells him that they should seal the hole, and he asks her what hole she is referring to, and she tells him the hole on the wall. At the association, they give Lin Mio an update of how the situation happened, and she asks how Faye is doing, and the worker tells her that the Little Hong section chief went in time to save Faye. He also adds that she has been taken to the hospital, and she is out of danger. She also asks if Xiao Huan did not catch a rat from the spider girl, and the worker tells her that she was injured by Huang, and she is probably hibernating somewhere as they have sent people to start looking for her. Xiaowen makes a delivery, and he gets a message on his phone, and as he reads it, he sees that a customer gives a bad review as the person saw spiders in the food she ordered. Immediately, Xiaowen begins to leap for joy as he is excited that bad reviews would reduce his chance of being the number one. Soon he tells himself not to be happy as it is not something to be happy for, and he begins to lament that all the things that have been happening to him have messed up his plans for his life. Arachne sits beside a waste bin, and she checks herself and says that she would not give it as the association has injured her, and she tells herself that she is lucky to have her spider babies. Immediately, she tells them to give their drained blood to her, so that she would be full and okay, but as they give her she notices that the blood is not enough, and she has to look for a man and drain him herself. As she walks out of the dumpster, she sees Xiaowen, who is talking to his bike as he thinks about his life, and he becomes shocked as he sees a giant spider with a human body. Arachne says he is too skinny for her, but she decides to make herself happy as she moves towards him to grab him. Xiaowen remembers how he died weaving the most beautiful silk out of spider webs, and as Arachne moves towards him she tells him that he can only blame himself for his bad luck. He asks her if she is the culprit behind the spider disaster, and she tells him to say his last words as she has eaten many men, and it is his turn. She also asks him if he is a virgin and how she can help him graduate before he dies, and seeing that he is acting tough, Arachne moves close to him, and as she is about to touch him he asks her if she can spit silk, and she says yes, and immediately Xiaowen fights with her by using his power to lift her and hits her on the ground several times, and he eventually defeats her. He immediately leaves, and as he leaves he trips over a can on the floor and blames it on the spiders. Lu Kui makes a call and tells the person that Arachne has been defeated. Later that night Lin Mio comes home and Wang Yake asks if she has been working overtime in the association for the past 2 days, and she tells him that she was just informed that Arachne has been defeated in her neighborhood that night. Xiaowen tells her that he defeated her because she brought back a bad memory for him, and Lin Mio asks him why he did not inform her before, but he tells her that he could not resist. Lin Mio gives him the commission for defeating Lucas, and she tells him that it is little because Lu Kai has taken credit for it. She also tells him that she has registered for him with the association, and he tells him that he is interested now as he put the money in his pocket. Lin Mio tells Xiaowen that he has to follow her to the association the following Monday so that he can start his induction training. The following day Xiaowen wakes up and notices that someone is on his bed, and as he opens the bedspread he sees a girl and the girl calls his name. He then asks her who she is, and she introduces herself as Wang Nihan. Xiaowen asks her what she is doing there, and she immediately jumps on his body as she sits on his lap, telling him that he is so innocent. Suddenly Wang Yake opens the door and notices the way her elder sister is with Xiaowen. He tries to explain that he does not know her, but he is interrupted by Wang Nihan, who calls Wang Yake her little sister. They all discuss how hot Wang Nihan's body is, but Xiaowen disagrees. They also discuss their clan with him as he could not believe that they are from the Phantom clan, and Wang Yake explains further how their ability works. Immediately Wang Nihan stands up and tells Xiaowen that since she would be sharing a room with him in the future she has to get along with him. She then snaps her fingers at him and tells him to do something happy with her. Wang Nihan is the matriarch of the Phantom Clan and she is so powerful. She uses her power to make Xiaowen fond of her, but she sees that he does not give her any reaction, and he also tells her not to get in his way as he stands up to leave the house for her and her sister. Immediately Wang Yake tells Xiaowen not to say anything as her sister is already furious, but he does not listen to her. Wang Nihan uses her deadly arrow of illusions on Xiaowen and he enters her illusion where he sees many females with different body size and shapes. Wang Nihan says she would not let him out of the illusion to teach him not to look down on anyone, but Xiaowen uses his powers to save himself from the ladies in the illusion, and he also tells himself as he finds it interesting to be caught up in an illusion for the first time. Xiaowen becomes very angry and he warns Wang Nihan, who is very surprised at the way he is able to use his powers in her illusion, that if the time in the illusion is different from the outside world and it makes him lose his delivery, he would not forgive her, but if the time affects it, he would be sorry to beat a woman up. Suddenly he grabs her by her neck and she begins to ask him who he is, and he tells her to find out. Wang Nihan struggles and tells Xiaowen that nobody has ever been able to use their abilities in her illusion, and she also tells him that he is lucky. That the association does not know that he exists and that would have locked him up and sliced him up for study. As she stands on her feet back, she tries to use her powers against him again, and he asks her why she still wants to test him, and she tells him that she wants to know how he is able to avoid being hypnotized, but he tells her that if she tries it she would also be affected, and she tells him that she also wants to test herself to see how far she can go. Immediately she uses the powers again. Xiaowen uses his own powers to shield himself and the power bounces back on her and she falls to the ground and becomes unconscious. Lin Miao comes out and asks them why they are so energetic in the morning. She sees Wang Yake checking up on her sister and she checks her and tells Wang Yake that the girl is okay. Wang Yake then explains that she fainted by exercising her powers, and immediately Xiaowen comes out of his room and she asks him what has happened, but he does not answer. Lin Miao kicks him and Wang Yake quickly explains that he has been hypnotized by her sister, and at that point Lin Miao finds out that they are the sisters from the Phantom Clan. Lin Miao tells Wang Yake that they have to go to the association for some questioning as they think Wang Yake might have joined the evil organization, but Wang Yake tells her that it is not possible. Lin Miao tries to read Wang Yake's mind, but she sees nothing but darkness. In Wang Yake's secondary illusion, she sees herself in a dark place and soon she sees a huge statue of Xiaowen, and immediately she sees him beside her and he asks her if she really wants to know who he is. Suddenly she begins to see all his past lives and she becomes confused as he tells her, but he does not know who he is too, and he is also more confused that he can control her illusions. Soon Wang Yake tells him that she cannot defeat him and she wants to leave the illusion, but he tells her that she cannot leave. She begins to try her powers but she sees that she cannot leave, and after a few minutes Xiaowen tells her that he could help her if she wants, and he uses his feet to break the glass and they begin to see Wang Yake, who is still telling her sister to wake up. Xiaowen wakes up and asks Lin Miao if she would pay if his nose is broken, but she tells him that it is not broken yet. Wang Yake also wakes up and begins to wonder why she does not remember anything that happened in the illusion, and she also looks at Xiaowen and also asks herself why he is looking like nothing is wrong. Lin Miao tells Wang Yihan that she has to follow her to the association and she asks why, then Lin Miao introduces herself and tells her that she suspects that she is part of the ultimate evil organization and she wants to take her in for some questioning, but Wang Yihan asks for an investigation order and Lin Miao tells her that she does not have one yet. Wang Yake then tells her to get one before she can follow her, and she also tells Lin Miao that she cannot read her mind if she tries to, and this makes Lin Miao surprised that she can sense her powers. Wang Yihan then tells her sister to go back home with her, but Xiaowen tries to stop her, but Wang Yihan yells at her sister, who is intimidated by her and hurriedly follows her. Xiaowen checks the time and yells at Lin Miao that he does not have time to fix his bike again, and she asks him if he doesn't think the two sisters look strange. She also faces him and asks him why he is still delivering meals when he has joined the association. Back in their house, Wang Yihan sets up a wedding for Wang Yake with a young master from the Yang family. Wang Yake is dressed up by an old servant who tells her to take heart as it is her fate. She cries in the servant's arms and soon another servant comes to tell her that she is called by her sister. She walks outside and she meets her sister, who shows her to a man who has come to check her out, and Wang Yihan makes a deal with the man as Wang Yake goes inside to rest after taking permission from her sister. Wang Yihan tells the man that they would discuss their cooperation once the wedding is done at the end of the month. Wang Yake goes back to her room and begins to think how no one has ever listened to her opinion in the family. She begins to cry in her bed until someone tells her that it is okay, and as she looks up she sees Xiaowen and she becomes surprised. She then asks him how he got in and he tells her that he told them that he is a boy and they let him in. Wang Yake takes Xiaowen by the hand and begins to drag him to go. She tells him that she would take him to the back door and that he should not come to look for her again, but Xiaowen tells her that she has not told him why she is crying by the sink, and suddenly they bump into Uncle Shu, their butler, who is on his way to give Wang Yake a pot of tea. Uncle Shu tells Wang Yake that he already understands that she does not want to get because she is in love with a low-life delivery boy. She tries to convince Uncle Shu, but he does not believe her, and immediately Xiaowen tells the uncle to help them as they are lovers who do not want to leave each other. Uncle Shu then tells Wang Yake that he would help her to test him, and immediately he starts to use his powers, and as he is about to attack Xiaowen, he runs to his back and ties him down. Uncle Shu begins to wonder what kind of person Xiaowen is, and he reads his mind, and Xiaowen replies that he is just a delivery boy. Uncle Shu becomes more surprised as he can read minds, and while he is talking to Xiaowen, Wang Yake strikes him from behind and he falls unconscious. Wang Yake tells Xiaowen that he should escape through the back door, and he asks her why she is not following him, but she tells him that she cannot go anywhere, as she is getting married the following month. Xiaowen tells her that he cannot refund her rent, and she tells him that he does not have to, as she begins to cry. Suddenly Lin Miao comes in and she scolds Xiaowen for trying to leave, and she also threatens to report him to the association if he does not help her to investigate. Xiaowen goes to meet Wang Yake and he tells her to tell him that she does not want to get married, otherwise he would leave. She immediately yells that she does not want to get married and become a tool. Lin Miao then tells her that she cannot live with Xiaowen alone as he is lonely and widowed. They all think of what to do and they decide to take Wang Yake back home with them, and soon they leave. After the three have left, Uncle Shu wakes up and tells himself that Wang Yake has gotten herself a friend. Uncle Shu reports to Wang Nian how her sister's friends had come to take her away, and he also tells her that he would go and get her back, but she tells him that he should not bother as they still have plenty of time. She also assures him that her sister would come back home. Uncle Shu leaves and Ji Lu comes to meet Wang Nian and tells her about a meeting and how she has not been attending the previous ones. She asks Ji Lu if there is other information he wants to pass, and he tells her that the Lord told him to ask if the marriage between them and the Awang clan is set, and she tells him that it was smooth. Ji Lu also reminds Wang Nian of Lord Gansu's plan of bringing the Awang clan with them, and she should not ruin their plans. Lin Miao begins to ask Wang Yake questions regarding their family, but she tells her that she does not know anything about the family's affair. Lin Miao becomes furious as she sees Xu Wen trying to switch on the television, but he tells her that she should not take out her anger on him. After listening to what Wang Yake has said, Lin Miao goes further with her investigations. She tells him how she wishes that she is the one handling the Phantom Clan. She also tells Xu Wen that he has to follow her to the association for his induction training, and Wang Yake also asks if she can visit the association. Wang Yake narrates how her sister has always told her that her ability cannot be taken seriously in the association. Immediately, Lin Miao asks if she really wants to join the association, and she replies that she wants to join as she has wished to join for a long time. Lin Miao explains to Wang Yake how she has to pass a special test so that the association would receive her well. Soon she takes them to the society's ability headquarters, and she also tells them that they have to stay in the headquarters for the 3-day induction training. Xu Wen tells Lin Miao that he has made a mind-controlling instrument that only works for 5 minutes, and immediately she drags him into the office. As everyone in the office begins to wonder why they are all running. Soon she brings them to a room and Wang Yake asks why they ran inside, and she tells her that Xu Wen is such a monster that possesses a lot of abilities. Wang Yake checks out the antenna on Xu Wen's head as Lin Miao begins to lament that Xu Wen would be watched by the top. Wang Yake explains how the human brain works and how she can use her abilities to help them. They all discuss psychic abilities, and soon Lin Miao tells them to prepare for the check-in for the induction training. Wang Yake makes the bracelet and Lin Miao test it and sees that it brings level 4, and she apologizes for not being able to help further. Lin Miao takes Xu Wen to the induction training registration, but she tells Wang Yake to wait in her office. She tells Xu Wen to join the queue, and he gets registered and is told to move to a room to start his training. He then asks her what kind of training it is, but she tells him that the training is of 2 types and he would enjoy it as the first training is very interesting and the second one boring. Lin Miao tells Xu Wen that she has to take care of Wang Yake's issue and he has to help himself, then she leaves. While thinking of how he got himself into the mess, Xu Wen is interrupted as someone tells him to move out of the way. As Xu Wen turns to look, he sees a man with horns and he begins to wonder if such people still exist. He goes towards the elevator and when it opens he sees different kinds of people in it. One of them tells Xiaowen that he should help him to press the 13th floor, and he realizes that he is in the same class with the boy. The boy introduces himself as Edward and tells him that they should help each other since they are in the same class. Xiaowen enters the class with Edward and they meet other people. They meet 2 boys and 2 twin sisters. Soon they are instructed to go and take the schedule, but Xiaowen becomes shocked as he sees the schedule and sees why Lin Miao had told him that the first one is interesting. A boy named Yuan Zhen comes to Xiaowen and asks for his name, and he answers him and also adds that he was a deliveryman before. Soon Zhen Chan comes in to address them, and Xiaowen recognizes her as the woman that came to his house the day an incident happened in his house. She brings in a lot of books for them to read by the end of the month and also tells them that once they become a member of the association they are no longer ordinary citizens. She gives them a test with no deadline, and Xiaowen begins to think that they had told him that there would not be any assessment. Zhen Chan gives them a quiz and Xiaowen becomes confused as he has not come across a quiz before. The second day of the training, Zhen Chan tells them of a friendly competition between their association and that of other countries as she explains the need for the quiz. Xiaowen meets with Lin Miao after the second day training and asks her why she did not tell him about the quiz, and soon she begins to beg him because he tells her that he would leave. She begs him not to leave the training as he would be in the bottom list if he does. Xiaowen begins to think and tells himself that he would not live long if he becomes the first, and he goes back to the class without having a way to escape the quiz. On the third day of the training, Zhen Chan gave them a 30-minute break as they were already looking tired. She tells them to rest before they take the test. A level 5 computer genius asks her what the quiz is like, and Zhen Chan tells him that she has no comment regarding the quiz. Zhen Chan begins the countdown for the test and the students begin to wonder what it is about, and suddenly the room begins to get filled with smoke and Xiaowen begins to think of what to do, and immediately he tells himself that he needs to lay down flat on the floor. All the students including Xiaowen woke up in a room as they had all passed out from inhaling the smoke. Xiaowen stands up and wonders how they had used ether to transfer them to the strange room. The level 5 computer genius begins to yell that they should at least give him a computer, but one of the twins tells him that he should be careful as he has become a computer addict. Edward tries to look for a way out, but suddenly someone begins to talk on the screen and the person introduces himself as the jury of the quiz. He tells them that they should pick their props and later tells them to divide themselves according to the props they have chosen. The jury also shows them 2 digital watches meant for each group that they can use to track their progress as well as the other group's progress too. He then warns them that if they do not enter through the provided door they would be disqualified from the quiz, and it means they cannot be hired by the association. The twin sisters begin to lament that they have never been separated before, but Xiaowen tells the sister that he would take care of her sister. The jury tells them to enter the doors provided according to their group after the countdown. During the countdown the twin sisters hug each other and begin to cry until they are separated by their group members. The first group, which is Yuan Zhen's group, enters their door and meets themselves in a desert, while Xiaowen's group enters their own door and meets themselves on a snowy mountain. Xiaowen, Chunxian and Edward find themselves in a very cold snowy mountain. Chunxian immediately begins to feel cold and Kai Xiaowen hands her the sweater they picked as part of the props that was gotten from the association. They begin to look around and Xiaowen wonders what the other section's test will be. Edward begins to feel cold and Chunxian has pity for him and decides to give him the sweater, but he insists he put it on as he considers himself to be a gentleman. Kai Xiaowen insists they get moving so as to prevent them from getting too cold and leading to death, but Edward asks him how they will progress without any instruction or where to even go. Kai Xiaowen resists using his power so that the association will not put a close eye on him, so he decides to find a way without using his powers. Edward suddenly becomes more cold and Chunxian instantly hands him the sweater so he would not die of cold. Kai Xiaowen immediately sights a cave and tells them to go into so as to beat the cold. On getting into the cave they get some pieces of wood around the cave and immediately start a fire to keep themselves warm. They'd all look at the props and obstacles before them and decide to impress the judges since they will be watching them. Edward stands up with other members of his group as they prepare to find their way to the next stage. Meanwhile, back at the desert where Group B is having their own tea in the desert, Urchin notices that the performance of Team A has gone up by 5% and informs his group members that the performance on their side should go up too. Back at the cave, Edward sees a white creature coming towards them and wonders what it might be. Chunxian looks at it and begins to admire it, seeing how cute it looks. It jumps on her body as Chunxian continues to play with it. Edward and Kai Xiaowen sees that it is trying to take advantage of her and Edward senses something wrong as he felt it was something huge coming towards them. Xiaowen tells him to hold the thought as he feels it is something huge coming towards them. Suddenly they hear a loud noise and immediately see a very huge monster coming out from the depths of the cave. Edward begins to wonder what kind of creature it is and tells Xiaowen that it might be the father or mother of the little creature. Xiaowen finds it hard to believe judging from the size of that creature and the creature on the body of Chunxian. Immediately brings out sharp claws and rips the top of Chunxian's dress open. Edward calls it a pervert after it jumps to the top of the monster's head and he promises to kill it. He also warns his group members to watch out for its eyes and Xiaowen wonders if the monster is the new clue. The association explains to them the kind of snowman monster they are fighting and informs them to call it weird. Xiaowen looks at the monster and arranges the clues and finds out that everything is too obvious. Chunxian, out of anger at what the little monster did to her, attacks the monster but all to no avail, and Edward notices that it is so strong. She plans to attack again but Xiaowen informs her to wait, but she tells him that if they do not attack it, it will end up getting them killed. Xiaowen remains calm and begins to look at thongs from the angle of the association and notices that the monster has begun to attack. Edward warns him and he immediately looks at the monster with a very dreadful look which makes him very afraid of him and stop. Edward becomes surprised as to why it stopped, but Xiaowen deceives him that it has a broken foot. Xiaowen immediately whispers to Chunxian to take it out since it is weak, and she immediately uses a very big blow to bring the monster down. Edward becomes surprised at everything that has happened and asks her how she stopped it in just a punch. He also thinks that Xiaowen is deceiving him regarding why the monster stopped. He asks Xiaowen, but he deceives Edward more so as not to blow his cover about his powers. Xiaowen immediately goes to meet the little monster and asks it for the clue or plans to do something dreadful to it. The scared little monster immediately brings out a key and hands it to him, making their group score increase. Meanwhile, the association that has carefully been monitoring them finds their group interesting. Back at the desert, Group B are advancing towards a town to see where they can get shelter from the scorching heat of the sun. Urchin begins to explain to them about Mirage and how it has killed a lot of people in the desert by deceiving them. Chunhua asks them when they are going to get there because she is already suffering in the heat. She immediately takes off her clothes and decides to take a break. Urchin informs her not to take off her clothes as she will quickly dehydrate, and also informs them that the team has made progress and they need to get going. Chunhua tells her teammates that since she came in, she has not seen any clue. Suddenly, Urchin is almost stung by a scorpion, but Yuan Ji uses his powers to stop the scorpion. They all begin to talk about the scorpions and immediately a large amount of scorpions begin to come out from the sand. They try to run towards the town, but Yuan tries to use his powers, but it becomes worse and they all begin to run. They get into the town and notice the scorpions are no longer chasing them and they begin to wonder why. Suddenly, they see a huge monster spring up from the sand and notice that the association wanted to force them into the city intentionally. Urchin and the remaining of his group members begin to deliberate if to go in or out of the town. Urchin finalizes and begins to run into the town to calm down and think of what to do next. Meanwhile, the organizers of the intelligence section continue to watch them over a screen as they continue to deliberate about each group and how they are solving each puzzle. They see a temple and they begin to decide to go into the temple, but the urchin tells them that the association wants them to go into the temple and they all agree and follow him in. Inside the temple, Chunhua notices how cold the environment is and Yuan hands her the sun protection clothing they picked up as part of the props. Urchin sees a box in front of them and tells them it is the next thing they have to open. Chunhua quickly picks up the box and tells them that they need a key to open it. Urchin and Yuan become surprised at how she picked up the box without fear. Urchin cautions her to listen to others and mistakenly steps on a trap tile. Urchin steps on a tile and immediately asks if it's a machine. Yuan notices that the pillars are moving and begins to wonder what kind of mechanism it is and begins to have suspicions on arrows or traps. They begin to feel a huge vibration and begin to notice something coming their way and wonder what it might be. Suddenly, they see a stone axe giant that uses its axe to break the pillars in the temple and begin to wonder if they are to fight it next. While still wondering whether or not they will fight the giant, another one appears in front of them and they become more surprised. Yuan wonders why they are not moving and Urchin tells him that maybe if he takes his foot away from the tiles, they would go away, but Yuan tells him to wait so he can think. Zanhua immediately drops the box back in an attempt to come save Urchin. Immediately, the giants move and Urchin realizes that something is controlling them to move. Group A begins to wonder what the key gotten from the little monster might be used for, and Taiyuan says it's his first time encountering a quiz without a clue. Edward notifies him that group has gone up to 40% and they need to improve their efficiency. Xiaowen uses his power to look into the ice lake and see something, but immediately wonders how he would convey it to the other members of his team by blowing his cover. Xiaowen manages to convince them to use the ice pick for the ice, and Edward plans to do it himself but stops to think if the entire ice will break. Xiaowen notices that the temperature is dropping rapidly and his teammates cannot last long. The association immediately notices that he is trying to hide himself by making others do most of the work, and also notice that the progress of their group is slow. The teacher in the association immediately requests to inquire more about him, as he has managed to draw attention to himself unknowingly. The group immediately are attacked by a large group of ice monsters and they all become surprised. Xiaowen begins to pretend he is afraid, and Chunchen and Edward decide on taking them down by themselves. Edward charges towards them, but Taiyuan informs him not to kill them but help them break the ice. Chunchen pauses and notices that they are not moving and discovers something wrong. The monsters manage to bring Edward down, and Chunchen asks them what they have done to him, and the monsters plan to attack her, and she suddenly begins to feel hot despite being in an iceland. Xiaowen immediately thinks for a while and uses his powers to stop the monsters and tells them not to beat his plan. Xiaowen successfully stopped the monsters from attacking, and Chunchen has completely taken off her clothes because of how hot she was feeling earlier. Edward wakes up and tells Xiaowen that he cannot feel his legs or remember anything and asks what happened to him. Xiaowen tells him that he has kidney deficiency and he becomes very surprised. Chunchen wakes up and notices her clothes are off and begins to ask after her clothes, but Xiaowen tells her that it was restrained in time and nothing happened. Edward then asks him about the group of snowmen and he informs them that they volunteered to help them cut the ice. They don't become shocked at how it happened. He continues by telling his teammates that he is a psychic ability user and he is controlling the snowmen. A member of the association hears that and wonders what Mio Mio is up to. Xiaowen goes to check up on the hole and notices they are done digging, and they all go down the hole. They go down and notice a lock and immediately use the key to open it, taking them straight to 60%. Back at Group B, Urchin asks Chunhua how she got their hands. You should think about it to get them out of their current situation. Urchin uses his powers to reveal the tiles so as to be able to calculate how to maneuver his way around the tiles. He asks her which 2 frames did she walk and which 2 frames did she jump. She tells him that she cannot remember and asks if he can go through the back of the giant. Chunhua also comes up with the idea to bring down the 2 stone giants before the mechanism is triggered. Urchin warns her and tells her to calm down and let him think about it. Chunhua immediately jumps towards the giants to stop them, but the giants immediately plan to attack her, but Yaowen uses his powers to stop the giants free, harming her and causing a pillar to fall. Urchin immediately informs them that the pillar must not touch the floor, and Yaowen tells Chunhua to get out of the way and uses his powers to scatter the pillar into pieces. Urchin scolds her and warns her not to move carelessly next to me and starts to figure out the mechanism regarding their level, and Yaowen decides to swap with Urchin. Yaowen and Urchin swap places and warn Chunhua to leave the decision-making to him and Yaowen, and not act recklessly. Urchin begins to calculate how to navigate his way around the Tay mechanism. By using Chunhua's movements and his swords not to activate a negative move from the stone giants. Urchin asks Chunhua to think about the exact positions she'd jump and walk. She tells him that she is not sure, but she came through the middle, and took a few steps to get to where she is. Urchin immediately comes up with a thought and sees it to be like Lu Xuan 9 places puzzle, and where Yaowen is standing is the odd one, and asks him if he wants to try it, and Yaowen agrees. Yaowen makes a move together with Chunhua, and nothing happens, meaning they got a tight guess. They'd managed to get through the puzzle, and they begin to wonder what would happen if they'd picked up the box. Urchin sees that the lock has a tiled sequence similar to the tile and pressed it to open the lock. They open the box and find a button hidden inside the box. Urchin presses the box and is surprised to see that his team and Team A have both gotten a 100%. Urchin and his team members all go down the stairs and think Group A have not arrived at the button, but to their surprise they see that Group A have arrived at the button. The 2 groups begin to analyze one another. Meanwhile, Xiaowen sees it coming and has found a way to manipulate Chunxian to fight with her sister once they see each other. The 2 sisters begin to argue and fight one another, insulting themselves, while the boys continue to watch each of them and ask themselves if that is how women fight. Xiaowen begins to plan on how to occupy Yaowen and Edward, so as to leave it to him and Surprisingly, Edward comes to him and offers to hold off Xiaowen so that he will go and press the button, but Edward's wind seems to be so strong and Urchin cannot go and press the button, allowing Xiaowen to regret about coming up with the wrong decision and making it have a bad end. Xiaowen continues to think of how he can possibly avoid the wrong decision he has made regarding the two teams and continues to pace uncontrollably. Urchin sees him and begins to wonder why he has not come to block him yet and begin to watch him closely as his actions appear suspicious. Urchin immediately removes his mind from it as he sees that everything is to their favor. Xiaowen and Edward continue to battle things out as Xiaowen begins to take things more seriously and begins to intensify his attacks on Edward. Edward becomes surprised and tells him to take things a bit slow, but Xiaowen uses his powers to create a mighty blow on Edward, causing Urchin to fall and injure his leg. Urchin also sees that Xiaowen is also doing too much and Chunhui is pinned down, but Xiaowen is not even bothered to move and wonders what it might be for him. Immediately, Xiaowen comes up with an idea on how to go about it without being discovered and leaves Edward telling him to hang in there and goes to meet the twin sisters. Urchin still wonders why he had not come to stop him and still did not bother. Xiaowen appears before the two sisters that are still in a heated discussion and begins to annoy them both to make them give him a blow. Successfully, he was given a blow and he flies across the room to hit Urchin, but Xiaowen saves him. Back at the class, the teacher plans to announce the ranking and asks them if they are not going too far as to how they handle the intelligence section like the combat section and bruising one another. The teacher went ahead to tell them that since none of them pushed the button, the intelligence section has decided to cancel the ranking and the destruction will be deducted from the first month of employment. They all become worried and the twin sisters could not believe that Xiaowen will be so difficult to handle. Xiaowen begins to analyze how he was able to hide himself and thinks that he cannot be the first in the result. Xiaowen also begins to think that Xiaowen has been restraining himself so much judging from the last stage where he went to cause a fight instead of pressing the button. The teacher then shows them the criteria used by judges to score them and plans to reveal their scores to them. Xiaowen becomes very worried and bothered. The teacher announces Xiaowen as the first in ranking, causing Xiaowen to get up on his feet. The teacher asked him if he was dissatisfied with the results and he said no. The teacher also announces Chunhui as the last place. Edward then asks Xiaowen what is wrong with him, but he tells him that he is fine and he should not worry about him. Everyone continues to congratulate Xiaowen, but he still feels bothered about Xiaowen. Xiaowen steps out and goes to use the elevator but staff in the organization sees him and wonders why he is very happy. Mia was on a call with someone she is owing and the person tells her that if she cannot pay back in a week, she will have to use her body to pay back and Mia hangs up. Xiaowen goes to see her to talk to her about the quiz, but she stands up and goes to sit down in his lap since her debtor says she can use her body to pay so she can also give it to him. He tells her to stand up, but she asks if he hates her then suddenly Yike comes in and finds them in an awkward situation. Her sister asks why she did not knock, but she replies that the door was open. Mia then informs Xiaowen to close the door next time. Nick apologizes to Xiaowen, but he tells her not to be sorry as they get to be half colleagues now. He also tells Mia that there is something he would want to discuss with her. He tells her that he is responsible for Chunhua's last positive, but Mia tells him not to blame himself for it. But he tells her that even the last blow, he flew out himself and she had nothing to do with it, but she tells him not to blame himself, she is an adult. He asks for something to eat and tells them that 3 months bonus is gone since he broke the button. Mia becomes very angry and gives him a very huge blow. Xiaowen asks them if they can eat spicy food and gets them a very hot spicy food and asks them to put something on the table. They begin to talk about the incredible prices of eating out and how convenient it is to eat at home. They also begin to talk about Yike and how she would have joined the association earlier and the benefits she would have gotten. Mia then decides not to talk about the sad topic and tells them to cheer for them moving into their new house. They continue to celebrate and Mia asks him about a girl that he likes but he pushes the conversation away and later finds out they are asleep. He carries Mia to her bedroom but she drags him very close to herself and tells him that she is thirsty and he rushes out promising to get her water. He also goes and picks up Yike and puts her to bed also. Wang comes into their home and tells him that her sister ran away and came to meet him here and she also tells him that her body is tempting and he should not fall in the temptation. Yike wakes up and sees Wang and asks her if she is there to take her back. But Xiaowen tells her that she will not go back with her and she tells him that it is her family business and he should stay out of it. Wang tells him to make a bet that Yike will go back with her. Wang tells her sister about the wedding and says she will go back, drink wine, and go to bed. Yike begins to feel bad about her sister's words and begins to contemplate if she should go with her. Xiaowen tells her not to be bothered about what her sister says and stays. Mek apologizes to him and leaves. The following day, Kai Yaowen repairs his bike and uses it to head to the association building and suddenly comes across Yuan. Yuan asks him if he will still be interested in making deliveries and he replies an assertion. Yuan continues to question him about himself and his abilities and they continue to catch up. Suddenly, Yuan uses his power to shoot at something and it appears to be someone he knows called Tianqing who asks him if he is ready to die for his sins. Yuan asks him what his sins are and Tianqing asks him why he dragged his brothers into it if it was the death of his sister that mattered. Yuan asks who is behind the task but he does not reply, telling him no one. Yuan immediately attacks him but Tianqing uses a wall to block his attacks. They continue to fight but Kai Yaowen refuses to interfere, seeing it's none of his business, but starts to pity Yuan cause he is being badly beaten. Yuan is being beaten and begins to bleed out. Yuan gets angry and uses his power to heal himself and asks him again who is behind the death of his sister, but Tianqing refuses to answer, causing him to be beaten by Yuan. Yuan punches him in the face and Tianqing becomes angry and charges back at him. Yuan falls down and Tianqing becomes very weak because of the fight between them and he begins to command him to open his eyes because his sister opened her own eyes, so he wanted to seek revenge. As he attempts to step on him with his foot, Kai Yaowen catches his foot and pushes him away wearing a scarf he found. Tianqing asks him who he is and begins to evaluate his physique and tries to attack him. Kai Yaowen gives him a slap and continues to slap him till he passes out beside Yuan. A group of people gathers around after a man called everyone to inform them about the hooded man who beat Tianqing, but everyone seems not to believe him and he tries to convince them, but Kai Yaowen disappears and they begin to find him. Mia hopes to see Yuan at the hospital and asks him what happened, but he tries to move but begins to feel a very huge pain in his legs. She tells him not to move or else he will be walking on all fours for the rest of his life. She also tells him that for the sake of the Xinjiang Xing falling into the net, the merits and demerits offset, he will not be punished. He begins to wonder why Tianqing showed up unharmed and stronger than he was before. Mia promises him that his family is on the case and they will make sure all is done. She also tells him about how the association is on the case and how they are looking into it very critically on how to stop them before they come back again. She begins to leave and sees Kai Yaowen at the entrance and asks him if he did it by preventing Tianqing to kill him and also defeating Tianqing, and he asks her about his pose if it was okay. Kai Yaowen takes an ice cream and as he gives the other to Lin Miao, he asks her why her 5 senses are squeezed together, and he also asks if Yuan Ji told her anything. Lin Miao replies that Yuan Ji told her that he had injured Shang Tianqing before and he healed and became stronger in less than a month. Lin Miao tells Kai Yaowen how Yuan Ji's sister died horribly in his yard and how he tried to get revenge and he lost the support of his people. After her story, Lin Miao notices that Kai Yaowen has fallen asleep and she immediately yells at him. He notices that his ice cream is melted and he asks her what level Yuan Ji's sister was and she tells him she was of level 6 ability. Kai Yaowen begins to have a suspicion and as he tells Lin Miao, she tells him that she does not know. He also asks for more information about the Yuan family and he tells Lin Miao that they are targeting the Yuan family. Kai Yaowen suggests that they investigate the matter and he also volunteers to question Shang Tianqing when he wakes up. Lin Miao shows him how he has been trending on a site for people with abilities and she also tells him of how Lu has been there anytime he defeats someone. Kai Yaowen stands up to leave and he tells Lin Miao that he has a delivery to make since they have stopped giving him bonuses, but as he is about to go, Lin Miao gets a call that Shang Tianqing is missing. Kai Yaowen tells Lin Miao that something is wrong and it is suspicious as Shang Tianqing is missing all of a sudden. Lin Miao then tells him to follow her to the association, but he refuses and tells her that he has 5 deliveries to make. Lin Miao becomes angry as he refuses her and leaves her. Lin Miao gets to the hospital and she tells her secretary to seal the building and get the footage from the surveillance in the hospital. She tells her secretary that she should also look into the association for people with spatial abilities, as it is only one with such abilities can escape like that. Lin Miao becomes furious as she reads the mind of the guards there and she asks them if they saw him disappear, but the guards explains to her how it happened. Lin Miao goes back to her office and Wang Yake asks how Yuan Ji is doing, but she tells her that she is still looking into it. Wang Yake asks why her mood is bad and she immediately breaks the news that Shang Tianqing is missing. She laments that the people high up would criticize her again. Wang Yake tells her of a card she saw and they begin to think if the card has anything to do with Shang Tianqing's disappearance. Wang Yake also changes the topic and asks Lin Miao to have seen the news of the hooded brother, and Lin Miao tells her that the hooded brother is Xiaowen. Xiaowen visits the old man and he asks him why he has not come to take orders, but Xiaowen tells him that he has gotten a part-time job. As Xiaowen reaches the city, he notices that people are looking at something in the sky, and as he looks he sees some spaceships and begins to wonder if it is an alien invasion. Ning Yu and Ning Yi hold a meeting regarding the attacks on the city. Ning Yi tells his brother that the people in the spaceship did not even bargain with them before launching attacks on the people. Ning Yu and Ning Yi decided to take the issue to the head of the association. The president of the association and the vice presidents, along with other members, held a meeting regarding the issue of the association. They all give opinions, and after their discussions the president of the association tells them to wait for a notification. Xiaowen gets to his neighborhood and sees that most of the houses have collapsed. He parks his motorcycle and looks at the whole neighborhood. In the spaceship, a lady gives reports to a man that their test results come out positive, and the boy immediately gets excited that the planet they came to was fun. Xiaowen becomes furious and tells himself that the people in the spaceship have come to ruin all his plans and his 80 years retirement. He immediately puts on his headgear and he flies up to meet the spaceship, but he is stopped by Lu Kai, who falls him down crying to him that he has met his idol. He tells him of how he worships him and turns him into his god. Lu Kai tells him that he is a marketer, and if Xiaowen works with him he would make him the most popular #1 idol, and immediately Xiaowen slaps him hard and causes him to pass out. Wang Ya comes out and Xiaowen calls out to her, and she is surprised that the hedger idol recognizes her, but he immediately tells her that he is the one and she should come and help him to hypnotize Lu Kui. Meanwhile, in the spaceship they already sensed a strong force that faded again, but the man tells his secretary that she should prepare his weapon and he immediately shoots it at them. Xiaowen sensed the weapon and he immediately saves Wang Ya and Lu Kai, but he does not notice that the impact of the weapon has made his trousers tear. They notice the explosion at the association's tower, but they are told not to do anything about it. Xiaowen becomes furious more, and as he tries to attack the spaceship he notices that it is gone. Xiaowen begins to wonder about the kind of civilization the people in the spaceship are using. Soon Lu Kai wakes up and Xiaowen tells Wang Ya to hypnotize him. Xiaowen suddenly sees people from the association coming towards them and he immediately takes Wang Ya and leaves. Xiaowen and Wang Ya appear in Lin Miao's office and she commends them for their entrance. Then Wang Ya asks where they are going to spend the night as their house has been bombed, but Xiaowen tells them that they should follow him to his parents' house. They get to the house and Uncle Wang, their housekeeper, comes to welcome Xiaowen home, and when they go inside they meet his parents who scold him and welcome him at the same time. Lin Miao begins to read Xiaowen's parents' mind as they think their son has 2 girlfriends and they had already chosen names for their grandchildren. Xiaowen's mother then tells them to watch television while their food is being prepared. Lin Miao asks Xiaowen if his father is the head of the WA group that she has seen in the headlines, and he tells her yes. Xiaowen's mother tells them that she wants to go and find something while Xiaowen wonders what she is looking for. Xiaowen's father leaves his son and Miao all alone and tells them that he wants to go to the kitchen to see what is going on and orders them to chat first. On getting there he asks his wife if everything is ready, and in 10 seconds. All they have been planning will eventually happen. A servant tries to interfere in their discussions but he is being shouted at. Yek and Miao continue to chat with Xiaowen and ask him if he is going to inherit everything his parents own since they are very rich. He tells them that he does not even know how to manage a company and he feels he will be bad at handling responsibility. Suddenly he notices something coming in and instructs them not to breathe in and hold their breath. Yek begins to act funny due to the reaction from the gas coming in from the vent. Yek tells them to leave because her power has surprisingly increased and she does not want to hurt them. Miao tells him that it is too late because her ability explodes and there is nothing they can do. She immediately becomes affected too by the power, and Xiaowen immediately tries to help her and stretches his hands towards her to help her, but she tells him not to touch her as it will be a problem for him. Xiaowen ignores her and hugs her to help her calm her ability, and she passes out, making his parents sad about not being able to control him. Xiaowen and Miao are trapped inside the illusion of Yek. Xiaowen tells Miao about a demon named Phantom, a demon that seduces humans in both dreams and visions. He also tells her that any human that has sex with the demon will die, and Miao considers it to be sad. Miao asks him about how he was able to leave the illusion of Wang Nihan, and he replies her with a question asking if she was always this strong. She becomes surprised and mistakenly hits him and asks him why he stopped, and again replies her with a question, and she becomes worried saying he is not the Xiaowen she knows. She ignores him more and tells him that they have to find Yek and find a way to leave her illusion before it starts to affect them. He uses a statement to signify looking into people's minds and she tells him that it's not polite. He tells her that she started it and he can't even think about not listening. She becomes angry and grabs him by the shirt and tells him that if he cannot hear it then he should leave it. Xiaowen smiles at her and tells her that he has heard it a lot and informs her that she cannot do anything. She tells him that he is not aware of how far he can go and he leaves her and notices that Yek's powers are too strong to be able to hold him down. Their environment changes suddenly and they find themselves inside a temple and see Yek at the front of the temple and Yek suddenly awakens while Xiaowen and Mio are busy in a conversation and they notice her. They begin to look for a way to stop her and he tells Mio that Yek is a phantom demon and she has chosen him and he decides to go meet her to check it out. He begins to mock Mio knowing fully well he has told her the story of the phantom demon and says it's only a matter of dying. Mio becomes worried and tells him not to dare and he should be very careful. Xiaowen holds close to her and she begins to touch him but he tells her that if her mind does not want her to do it she should not. Yek stares at him and pulls down her robes and begins to kiss him. Mio becomes very surprised on seeing what had just happened and notices that things are beginning to get bad. Yek stops and looks at Xiaowen who tells her not to get distracted while still holding her. When Mio sees them get so close she gets very angry. This causes her to scream loudly at him, confirming how men cannot seem to resist a beautiful woman. At this point, Yek gets pissed and is forced to launch an attack. When Xiaowen notices what she is about to do, he instructs Mio to get out of the way but she assumes he wants to use that as an excuse to run away from her. Just as Yek shoots a powerful magic at her, Xiaowen springs up into action and swiftly takes her out of the way. Fortunately, he gets there, just in time to save her. After that he scolds her for not listening, revealing that she would cease from existing in reality if she got hit by Yek's attack. Unfortunately, at this time, Mio had obviously messed up his plan, making it difficult for him to break Yek's illusion and catch her. However, Mio assumes it will be easier since he had done the same on Wang Nian. But he lets her know that breaking Yek's illusion is very different from Wang Nian. At that moment, they are surrounded by thorns and Xiaowen advises Mio not to move. Just then, she tells him to read her heart and find the key to breakthrough. But he happened to have tried that and reveals that her heart is like a door and not human. Wondering what he meant by a door, he states that she will only let people she trusts to go in. Then he gets himself to the thorns and advises her to do the same. After the two are covered in it, the thorns suddenly disappear. After being surrounded by the thorns, Xiaowen and Mio find themselves in another of Yek's illusions. This time, the place seems to be very barren, and Xiaowen wonders what exactly Yek has been through. Due to this, he begins to feel pity for her. Shortly after, they see her bending, as she seems scared. This makes Xiaowen realize that she incurs more damage the longer she stays in the illusion. In a shocking turn of events, Yek picks up a can and throws it at Xiaowen, who successfully dodges it. While demanding that they go away, she begins to attack Xiaowen. In the heat of battle, he asks her if she feels safe if she hides here, but she doesn't respond. Meanwhile, he is surprised that she now possesses martial arts skills. However, he realizes that she has subconsciously learned this to protect herself. Since she is unable to defeat Xiaowen, she sets her sights on Mio. Realizing this, Xiaowen demands that she run away, but she fails to listen. Instead, she charges at Yek. When he tries to stop her, he finds himself in yet another illusion. However, this seemed to have more life than the last.